Just when the public began to accept Yu Menglong's tragic fall, a new discovery has shaken everything to the core. A hidden will, a final testament written in his own hand, found sealed inside a locked safety box, one that was never meant to see the light of day. And now, that final message may be the key that unlocks the truth about his life, his death, and the secrets he died protecting. The discovery: a box behind the wall. It started with the renovation of Yu Menglong's former apartment in Chaoyang District, a small, high-rise unit overlooking the same skyline where he took his last breath. The new tenant, a young filmmaker named Lin Rui, had just moved in when workers tearing down a false wall made a startling discovery: a rusted metal box, bolted deep into the concrete. Inside, 3 items: a sealed envelope, a black USB drive, and a small jade pendant engraved with the character Meng, meaning dream. When Lin realized what he had found, his hands shook. The box had been hidden behind a layer of soundproof insulation, suggesting it was never meant to be discovered by chance. The envelope was labeled in neat, familiar handwriting. "If you're reading this, I am already gone." The handwritten letter. Experts confirmed what fans feared: the letter was real. Forensic analysis matched Yu's handwriting perfectly. But it wasn't just a will. It was a confession, a prophecy, and a warning. The first lines read almost like poetry. "In a world that sells dreams, truth becomes the most dangerous secret." He went on to mention 3 names, individuals close to him in both the industry and his personal life, though the names were partially blacked out in the release version. He wrote that he had discovered a deal that wasn't meant to be known, and that he had been followed in the weeks leading up to his final night. Yu confessed that he had been afraid, but not of dying, afraid that something would happen that would erase everything I've built, even my name. Then came the chilling final lines: "If the world wakes up and sees me again, remember it wasn't by accident." The story they buried is still breathing. The USB drive that changed everything. The USB drive contained encrypted files that, according to investigators, took cybersecurity experts nearly 48 hours to open. When they finally did, they found a folder labeled "The End of the Dream." Inside were several short video clips, each no longer than 10 seconds. One showed Yu sitting in front of a camera, his expression unreadable. "If I disappear," he said softly, "remember, silence is never empty." Another showed a blurred figure entering a dimly lit room. You could hear glasses clinking, faint laughter, and Yu saying, "You think this will stay secret forever?" Then, static. The final clip? Just darkness, and the faint sound of a heartbeat. But here's where it gets stranger. Digital analysts noticed something odd. The metadata on the files indicated they had been modified after September 11th, the date of Yu's official death.
So, who edited them? And why?
The symbol on the pendant. The jade pendant inside the box wasn't just jewelry. Fans quickly connected it to one of Yu Menglong's earliest dramas, The Dream's Promise, where his character wore the exact same charm as a symbol of hidden identity. But this one had a subtle difference. Engraved inside, nearly invisible to the naked eye, were the coordinates of a remote mountain temple outside Beijing. When a team of investigative journalists visited the site, they found something chilling: a small offering table, newly cleaned, with white lilies, Yu's favorite flowers, placed neatly on top. And beneath the table, a folded note with 3 words: "The truth sleeps." The mother's reaction. When Yu's mother was informed about the discovery of the will, she didn't cry. She simply said, "He was trying to protect someone." Her tone was calm, almost rehearsed. In her later interview, however, her words took a darker turn. "There were things my son knew, things he couldn't speak about. And when he tried, they called it intoxication." That one line broke the internet. Fans began dissecting every interview, every recording, every post she had ever made. Some said her tone suggested guilt. Others believed she had been silenced. But one detail stood out: her necklace. During the interview, she wore a jade pendant identical to the one found in the box. The return of the shadow account. Then, as if the universe wasn't finished playing its cruel tricks, Yu Menglong's Weibo account, long deactivated, suddenly reappeared, briefly, for just 15 minutes. A single post was uploaded, timestamped 3:33 a.m.
It read,
"The dream will awaken." No photo, no hashtag, no comment section. Then it vanished again. Tech experts traced the IP origin to a private VPN located near the exact same coordinates engraved on the pendant. The coincidence was too perfect to ignore. The final connection. With all the evidence, the letter, the pendant, the footage, the posts, one truth began to surface. Menglong's death wasn't just a tragedy. It was a performance, a message crafted carefully for those willing to look deeper. He left behind not only his possessions, but a roadmap to the truth. Was he hinting that his death had been staged? That his disappearance was deliberate? That the dream he mentioned was one last act, a story so real that it fooled the entire world? The unspoken ending. At the bottom of the letter, written in faint pencil, was a line that investigators almost missed. It was signed not as Menglong, but with 3 small words. From the dream. That was the last page. The end of his testament. But maybe not the end of his story. Because now, every fan, every journalist, every person who once wept at his passing, they've begun to wonder if the dream ever truly ended. And as the public retraces his final steps, one haunting idea grows stronger with every whisper, every new clue, every unanswered question. Maybe Menglong didn't leave us a goodbye. Maybe he left us a map. The night after Menglong's secret will was discovered, Beijing didn't sleep. The internet exploded with theories, analyses, and emotional fan tributes. Hashtags about the final message trended across every Chinese platform. But behind the noise, a handful of insiders were chasing something more, the full truth buried within Yu's last words. It began when one of the investigators who had handled the evidence anonymously leaked that the letter contained more than what was released to the public. According to him, several lines had been blacked out, not by police, but by someone close to Yu's family. And that was when the story took an even darker turn. The night before he fell, a neighbor living on the 8th floor of Menglong's Chaoyang apartment came forward with new claims. She said she had seen Yu just hours before his fall, pacing the hallway barefoot, holding his phone, and what looked like a folded piece of paper. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, the neighbor told reporters. He was whispering to himself, like he was reciting something or saying goodbye. When police examined the scene, that paper was never listed among the collected items. Now, with the discovery of the will, fans wonder if that was the same letter, the one he had hidden behind his wall, waiting to be found. The handwriting, described as trembling but deliberate, bore smudges, not from ink, but from what appeared to be raindrops or tears. The secret line about her. A linguistics expert who analyzed Yu's writing noticed an unusual sentence written between the margins. "Tell her I kept my promise, even when it cost me everything." The pronoun her set the internet ablaze. Was he referring to a lover? His mother? Or perhaps an unnamed actress rumored to have been close to him before his death? Screenshots of an old deleted Weibo post resurfaced, a post Yu made 6 months before he died, with a caption, "Some secrets are beautiful only in silence." Fans recalled how, at the time, he had been rumored to be in a private relationship with an industry insider, a woman who vanished from public view days after his funeral. It didn't take long for online detectives to connect the dots. The password that opened more questions. The USB drive found with the will was locked with a strange password. Authorities never revealed what it was, but a hacker claiming to have seen the files anonymously posted a hint online. The password wasn't a word. It was a date. And it wasn't his birthday. Fans began digging through every event, every post, every known photograph to find that date. One fan noticed something eerie. In an old vlog you filmed years ago, a wall calendar behind him showed a single circled date, June 17th, with the words "Don't forget our pact" scribbled below. June 17th was reportedly the day you had signed a major contract that suddenly fell through weeks before his death. It was also the anniversary of the death of his former stylist, a woman rumored to have been his confidant. Could that have been the password to the drive? Was that the connection you wanted someone to find? The vanishing footage. When journalists tried to access the USB files that were leaked, they found something strange. The clips that had circulated online were no longer viewable. The accounts hosting them had all been wiped overnight. Every single post vanished, same timestamp, same minute. And the reason was even more chilling. All those accounts had received identical messages before being deleted. This content has violated Section 7 of the Digital Protection Law, removal required. But there was no record of any such section in Chinese law, which meant one thing: someone with access and influence was erasing traces of Yu Menglong's message. A small fan page that managed to preserve one of the clips described what they saw in haunting detail. He was sitting by the window, wearing a white shirt, no makeup, hair undone. He looked straight into the camera and said, "Don't let them rewrite me." Then it cut to black. It wasn't the words that terrified fans, it was his tone.
Calm.
Controlled. As if he already knew this would be the last footage of his life. The room that was never searched. When investigators revisited the apartment complex where Yu died, another secret emerged. The hotel room on the 9th floor, where he had supposedly fallen from, wasn't registered under his name. It was under an alias. The same alias appeared on a document recovered from his personal files in the will box, Meng Zhao. Experts later discovered that this alias had been used to rent multiple short-term apartments around Beijing between July and September, the months leading up to his death. Why would a man with a stable career, a fan base, and a luxury home in Chaoyang need several unlisted hideouts? One theory suggests he was being followed, or meeting someone he didn't want the public to know about. And in the footage taken from the USB drive, faint reflections in the window appear to show not one, but two figures in the room. The line that shook his mother. During her most recent interview, Yu's mother was asked if she had read the letter in full. Her eyes welled up, but she nodded. "I wish I hadn't," she whispered. No mother should read what her son saw coming. When asked if she believed the death was still accidental, she paused for several seconds before replying. Sometimes accidents are arranged. That clip went viral, accumulating over 10 million views within a day before being removed for legal reasons. But fans saved it, re-uploaded it, and replayed it endlessly, studying every word, every blink. Some claimed her expression at that moment mirrored Yu's last public photo, the same haunting calm before a storm. The last line, a secret code. At the bottom of the will, below the words from the dream, Yu had drawn a small symbol, one that looked like an unfinished infinity loop. Cryptography enthusiasts quickly noticed that when rotated, the loop resembled two Chinese characters merged together: dream and life. Dream and life joined unfinished. It was as if he was telling the world that his story wasn't over. And perhaps it isn't. Because just this morning, new reports surfaced that someone had logged into Yu's email account, one inactive since 2025, from a remote location near the same temple marked on his pendant. The message sent out from that account read only 4 words. The dream continues still. Now, fans believe the will wasn't Yu Menglong's goodbye. It was his beginning. A coded message.
A map.
A confession dressed as poetry. And maybe, just maybe, the world hasn't heard the last of him. Because if Yu Menglong really planned this, if his final act was to blur the line between life and legend, then he succeeded. He didn't just leave a will. He left a story the world can't stop reading.